So welcome everybody back to another session. Today we're going to be talking about attachment theory, the different kinds of attachment and what they mean, what are some of the behaviors that you may encounter with each of them, some of the reasons why you may have developed each attachment style, and then how to practically use this information to literally heal yourself and heal your relationships. Attachment theory came back from a few decades ago, and it's based on how we learn to interact with the world when we are born and the first years of our lives. We learn how to interact, we learn what's okay, what's not okay, we learn how to receive love, what that looks like, depending on who is there with us, our caregivers, our parents, or whoever is raising us. And depending on those reasons, you may develop a different style of attachment. And then when you go on life and you have a partner, you are going to probably transfer some of that attachment style into your relationship and romantic relationships with your partner too. And that's why this is so healing and it's so important. And I have never done a live on this topic, but some people mentioned it in the past, and I had a few books on my to-read list. And then now, I had time to read it. And I read the book Attached by Amir Levine. And then I am reading another book that Becca recommended that is especially about relationships. And I can't remember the title, Hold Me Tight, I think it is, something like that. Becca, can you type the name of the book in the chat, please? Because I don't have it with me. But yeah, I am really diving into attachment. And then I have been doing quizzes with my partner, Samantha. We have been discovering, being curious, and then having conversations, okay? Sometimes difficult conversations, sometimes emotionally charged conversations. And we are going to dive into the reasons why those conversations are charged and how this works. Because once you understand how this works, you can then use mindfulness to try to be present and then try to catch yourself in these behaviors, catch yourself in these patterns, catch yourself in these emotions as they happen. And when you can do that, the more you practice, the more you can do that, then the more you're going to be able to heal and transform and ask for what you need. And then stop protesting behaviors that we're going to talk about what those are, and stop all these plays that we sometimes do to try and get what we need, but not on a direct way. And many times it doesn't work. Okay. Thank you, Becca. The book is Hold Me Tight. So that's the one that I'm reading now too. But there is a lot of information out there about attachment. I'm going to share the main traits of each style, a little kind of like a recap for you guys to understand, because I'm sure some of you are aware of them. I'm sure some of you, maybe this is completely new for you. Wherever you are, I hope that this session is going to bring you something important, something helpful for you to keep moving along this journey. Okay? So Becca says, the other title mentioned just now is Attached, The New Science of Adult Attachment. Yeah, that's the one that I read. And it's pretty good. It's pretty... Honestly, this is all the theory information, and it's very easy to find. You can go to Google, you can go to ChatGPT, you can go to just wherever you search information and then type attachment styles, and then you can find this information very easily. The work is to actually put it into practice, and the work, as I mentioned, is to use your executive functioning skills, that I will talk about those too and how they apply to this, so that you can actually catch yourself, as I mentioned, when you are doing a specific behavior. Okay? So how does it feel if I do a recap of the four main styles and how they look like and reasons why maybe you have developed that style? And then after, we can maybe dive into what executive functioning skills we're going to be using and what are the practical ways that I can see in my experience that is working for me with my partner, and that I can see working for you, hopefully too. Okay? So yeah, let's get going. So the first one is the secure attachment, secure. And this is, according to this information, is 50% of the population. I don't really know how they find this, but let's say that that's half of the population they say are secure. So what does it mean to have a secure attachment style? That means that you are comfortable with intimacy, emotional intimacy, and independence. You are okay with independence. You are trusting, open, and you communicate clearly in relationships. Okay? You are able to express your needs and emotions without fear and clearly, and you can handle conflict in a healthy way and seek resolution. Okay? So I will add to this many other traits, but these are the main ones. I will also add in here, you will not exaggerate a situation. If something happens with your partner or with a person, you will not dramatize that into he always or she always does this, or she or he never does that. So the always never kind of loop. If you catch yourself using always never, majority of the times, I'm pretty sure you're going to be wrong. I am always wrong because it's not always and it's not never. So that's me dramatizing. That's me going to the extreme. I will say that secure people don't do that. And there are many other traits, but these are some of the main ones, okay? And then it says how it develops. So caregivers were responsive, okay, emotionally available, and consistent. So basically the people who raise you, your parents, your mom, your dad, your grandmother, whoever was there when you were growing up and raised you, they were consistent. They didn't shut you down emotionally. They hold space for you. They were available. So that's how you create a secure, because you have seen it model, right? And then in relationships, partners feel safe, valued, and emotionally connected with each other. And they can navigate challenges without extreme anxiety or extreme avoidance. Okay? So that is kind of what a secure attachment style can look like. So that was number one, 50% of the population, according to this information. Okay? Number two is anxious. Okay? This, according to this, it says 20 to 25% of the population is anxious. So the characteristics are craves closeness, but fears abandonment. Okay? So you want closeness with that person, but you are fearful of being abandoned. Okay? Overthinks relationships too much, often feeling insecure or unworthy. Okay? Overthinks relationships too much and often feeling insecure about the relationship and about yourself in that relationship and unworthy. I don't deserve this. Who am I to attract this kind of person? Why is he or she with me? That idea. Maybe overly sensitive to a partner's moods and behaviors. That is 100% me. Oh my God. I'll get into details after, okay? But yeah, like maybe overly sensitive to your partner's or the other person's moods or emotions or behaviors. So maybe whatever is happening to the other person, you may automatically think it's my fault. I have to do something about it. Until this is not resolved, I am not safe. This person may abandon me because I have done something really wrong. So that is one example of how this can show up in the anxious attachment. Okay? And then strong need for reassurance and validation. A person that is anxious because they are fearful of being abandoned, they are fearful of not being good enough, of not deserving, they constantly need validation and reassurance. So that is another trait of having an anxious attachment style. Okay, how it develops. Caregivers were inconsistent, sometimes loving and sometimes distant. So that's kind of the scenario probably that you had if you have some sort of attachment style that is anxious, most likely you had a caregiver that was inconsistent. Sometimes you could count on them, sometimes you couldn't. And that's why you have those fears. That's why that's in your nervous system. Okay? And in relationships, can become clingy, needy, jealous, or overly focused on the partner's availability. Okay? So you need your partner to feel well, and struggles with self-soothing and often feels emotionally overwhelmed. Okay, so if you are anxious, maybe you have a hard time soothing yourself, and then you are too dependent or too needy from your partner. And I just want to say, before I go to the third one, please don't take this as a negative. Don't take this personally. Don't take this like, oh my God, that's me. What am I going to be doing now? Just take it from an angle of curiosity. Okay? My intention here is to be very compassionate, to be very curious, and to really try to discover what are my behaviors. How can I make them differently? How can I transmute them in a way that serves me better? And also, how can I request what I need in a way that my partner can receive it? And how can we together navigate this? Because I have my attachment styles, and then my partner has her attachment styles. Sometimes they change. You may have different attachment styles with different people. Sometimes you may have an attachment style with women, and sometimes you may have a different attachment style with men. Sometimes you may have an attachment style that is different with a specific person, because maybe that person reminds you of your father, and you may have a different one with someone that reminds you of your brother. I'm just trying to tell you that these labels, these kind of boxes that have been created, don't just take them as everything or nothing. It's just a guidance, okay? So are you guys ready for the third one? I'm just trying to share this. Again, this is you can find it very easily online, so don't try to write everything I'm saying. I just have my phone and I just found it very quickly online, so you don't have to really kill yourself getting everything, and then we can dive into each of them more in detail after, okay? So the next one is avoidant. Okay, so we have done the secure attachment, we have done the anxious attachment, and now this is the avoidant attachment. This is dismissive. It's about 20 to 25% of the population, according to this, okay? The characteristics of an avoidant style, attachment style. Values independence and self-sufficiency over closeness. So they prefer to be independent rather than being too close to someone. Finds emotional intimacy overwhelming or unnecessary. Struggles to express emotions and may suppress feelings. May pull away when a partner gets too close. Okay? So basically there is a fear about emotional closeness, emotional connection. Most likely this person were not modeled what that looks like. So too much emotional intimacy can be overwhelming, and they feel better. Safety to them means being alone. Safety for an anxious person means we are all okay. And if we are all okay, I am okay and I am safe. If we are not okay and something is happening with you, I am not safe and I don't feel well, because safety for me means we have to be all together and feeling well. And for the avoidant is the opposite. So how it develops, the avoidant attachment style. Caregivers were emotionally unavailable, dismissive, or encouraged self-reliance too early. So basically they were encouraged to be self-reliant too early. You are not to ask me any questions, you can do this alone, I am not available. Sometimes the parents, maybe they didn't know how to do this. Again, we are talking about most likely generational trauma. Our parents did the best they could with what they knew. And if your grandparents were not able to model this for them, they probably wouldn't know how to do it for you. But here you are in this call. Here you are being curious. So maybe you are the first generational step that is going to be changing. I am changing my daughter's future for sure. Samantha and I, we are really breaking a lot of generational trauma, a lot of generational kind of conditioning, however you want to call it. We are trying to do things differently. We are trying to really research and learn as much as we can and try to be conscious as much as we can. And even though we are trying the best, we probably are going to be doing damage unconsciously that she may need to fix later. But just do your best, okay? That is what we can do. So in relationships, avoidant attachment looks like prefers to keep emotional distance and may avoid deep conversations. Can seem cold, uninterested, or overly logical. Okay? So basically they are going to avoid emotional closeness. They are going to prefer to surface talk. They don't want to dive deeper into conversations that may trigger emotions because that overwhelms them. And they can seem cold, uninterested, and too logical, too much in their heads and not in their hearts. Because being in your heart means being connected with your emotions and being connected with someone else's emotions, and that is overwhelming and scary for an avoidant person. And again, some of you may have a little bit of avoidant, a little bit of anxious. Depending on the situation, you may find one or the other. Some situations you may be secure and you may be okay. So just watch yourself, and we'll talk about those practical steps after. Okay? So we've done the secure attachment style, we've done the anxious, we have done the avoidant, and then there is a fourth category here. This is only 5 to 10% of the population, and this is called disorganized. Basically, it's a fearful avoidant mix. Sometimes fearful avoidant, sometimes anxious avoidant. You may find it with different names, but basically this is a mix of the two, the avoidant, the fearful slash anxious, so anxious avoidant slash, anxious fearful slash avoidant. It's a mix. So sometimes you may be too clingy, you may need a lot of closeness, and then some other times you may push away completely and you will avoid and you will completely be checked out and don't want to be close at all. So what are the characteristics of this disorganized style? That is a mixture of fearful avoidant or anxious avoidant. So a mix of anxious and avoidant trait. Wants connection but fears getting hurt. So a part of you wants connection and a part of you is afraid of getting hurt. Can be unpredictable. Okay, swinging between craving closeness and pushing people away. So very erratic behavior, very extreme, right? Sometimes you don't know what's going on because before they were so sweet and close and now they are completely gone and you don't know what to do. Often struggles with trust and has a deep fear of rejection. Okay, so trusting someone is difficult and they are afraid of being rejected. So that's why they don't want to get too close because they don't want to get hurt. How it develops, this one. So this one says caregivers were unpredictable, neglectful, abusive, or cause fear in the child. So basically, if you remember, in the anxious, they were inconsistent. Okay. In the secure, they were consistent, emotionally available. You could trust them. And then in the avoidant, they were gone. They were not available. And they were, And then in this one, it's a mix. So it's a very interesting mix of neglectful, abusive, unpredictable. And then basically the child felt fear. And that fear that they felt probably is causing all of these fears of rejection, fear of closeness. I want you because I want your attention, but then sometimes when you gave me your attention, you hurt me because then you disappeared and abandoned me. So as you can see, there are so many traits that can be happening there. And that is a small portion of the population. So in relationships, this disorganized attachment style, they may struggle with emotional regulation and intense push-pull dynamics. So I push you away, I pull you in. I want you close, I want you here all the time, and then all of a sudden, I don't want you around at all. I want you gone. You are annoying me. So that is like the push-pull dynamic that can be very toxic and then tends to sabotage relationships due to deep-rooted fears. So there are a lot of people out there, and sometimes I find it in myself. When something really good is about to happen or happening, I may self-sabotage unconsciously that thing because deep down I am afraid that it's too good to be true. I don't deserve that. If I go too deep with this, I'm going to get really hurt because it's not going to work. So I'd rather don't go anymore. So that is kind of the self-sabotage that sometimes happens. So these are the 4 attachment styles very briefly. And I now would like to open the floor. I don't know if there are any questions about them. I would like to talk a little bit about these executive functioning skills and ways that I can find very helpful for you to explore these things. But before I move into that, are there any specific questions that you guys would like to ask about these styles? And I'm curious to know, if I were to ask you, what attachment style do you have? Would you be able to answer? Do you have clarity? Or are you still being curious and discovering? In my case, I will say that I have secure, anxious, and a little bit of avoidant. Again, depending on the situation, it may be different, but I will say that as a percentage, I will say like probably 50% is maybe secure. I would say 40%, 35-40% is kind of anxious. And then there is a little bit of avoidant in some occasions. Joaquin says, yes, I basically parented myself. Yeah, Joaquin, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that you are here. Cara says, insecure attachment or overly insecure. Amazing, Cara. So that means anxious style. I think I am between anxious, disorganized, and wonder how this sits with avoidant. Amazing, Beta, amazing. It's nice that you see threads, right? And again, you don't need to know everything, but having this information is going to help you start pulling the threads and start understanding yourself more. Joaquin says, so our style can change depending on who we are in relationship with? Yes, Joaquin, absolutely. It can change. And it can change, it can be different with different sexes. It can be different with different personality types. Even with your partner, it can be different depending on what your partner does. And depending on what that triggers in you, you may react differently. Because maybe she or he, your partner, does something that reminds you of a situation that you lived with your dad, and maybe you were hoping for your dad to praise you, to say, I'm proud of you, and you never got that, and maybe that makes you feel anxious and fear of you want closeness and you want reassurance, and maybe your partner does something that represents what your dad did to you, and you may react in that way, in that anxious style. But maybe another thing happens and your partner does something that makes you remember of something that happened with another person, maybe your mom, and that pulls you into the avoidance style, right? So it's very difficult to generalize. That's why being present is so important, to really recognize, wow, in this moment, I am being anxious. In this moment, I am avoiding. In this moment, I have no idea what's happening. So I need to really observe more and see why this is happening, because I don't know yet. I'm not conscious enough yet. I am not aware enough yet. But that is a really good place to be in, because you are willing, you are curious, and you are open to observing. Okay? And we're going to talk about that observation and how that works in your brain in a little bit. So I am feeling I need to do a mind map on all of these characteristics. Yeah, Becca, I really recommend, and I have these, my 2 journals that I use. I really recommend to journal. Every time I listen to a podcast, anytime I'm reading a book, anytime I watch a video, if there is something that, wow, I am getting a lot of information here and ideas, I will write them down, because this is the way to process. This is the way for you to go back to your journal and really read what was that, right? Also, like having something in your phone that you can refer to when you are being curious and something has happened and you are trying to understand what happened there. How did I behave in that situation? You can read the characteristics of each style, and that's going to help you recognize, wow, that was avoidant, or wow, that seems that is anxious. I was feeling fear. So yeah, it's very helpful to write it down. Yeah, I was just available to arrive 5 minutes ago, but I am very grateful. I'm really loving hearing your explanation mix. We don't always fit into a box. I relate a lot to your percentages, but therapists and healers have always been uncomfortable with me not fitting into the box. Yeah, of course. And guys, I don't want you to fit in a box. I want you to be aware of these labels. There are parts of me that like labels because they bring clarity and they bring a little bit of structure. But there is a part of me that doesn't like labels, because I don't want you to say I am an avoidant and that's it. That's what I am. No, you have tendencies of avoidance in this concrete moment, or you have a tendency to be anxious in this concrete situation. But that can be changed with mindfulness. We are gonna talk about the different ways that you can do this. But yeah, as you heal, as you become aware, as you become conscious, as you communicate more clearly, as you can do conversations with your partner, you're gonna keep changing and evolving, and you don't have to fit in a box, okay? I don't want you to do that. Just use this information to really understand yourself better. So how do I know if I have access to secure attachment between? So Joaquin, when you read the characteristics, you will know. Sometimes with my partner, I am feeling like, wow, in this moment, I am grounded. I am not feeling triggered. I am breathing. I am fully present. I am looking eye contact with her. And no matter what she says, no matter what she does, I am a rock. And I am here. And I see through what's happening through her. She may be running a program, a story, feeling angry. She may be like insulting me or whatever, and I can just see through. I know what it is. It's a protesting behavior. Something has happened. It is not about me. It's all about her. So that's me knowing I am on the secure attachment in this moment. Some other times, it's a chaos. She's saying something, and all of a sudden I'm feeling this heat coming up. I'm feeling something in my throat. My fists get closed. I get angry. I feel attacked. I feel I'm not doing this well enough. Who am I to be with her? She's going to go with someone else that is more capable than me. I don't know what to say in this situation. I may even stop eye contact, and then that will throw her even more. So in that moment, I am not secure. I am avoiding. I am being anxious. So there is a combination of things, right? And that's when self-regulation comes into place, because you don't have to be perfect every time. And it's okay that you get triggered. It's okay that your partner gets triggered. I think the first step is for both of you to be willing to really stop. Okay, something is happening. Let's stop. Let's take a break. Let's breathe. If you are willing to do that, you are stopping the pattern. You are stopping the dynamic in the moment. And then after that, then you can figure out what to do next. But the first thing, stop, pause, breathe, eye contact. Just breathe. Okay, okay. And this is when imago dialogue works really well. And I talk about imago dialogue a lot. I have a course that I created with my partner in case you are interested, but that is a way for us to do that, to create safety, to emotionally self-regulate, and then to be able to bring what's happening into a container that we have created for each other. Okay? So yeah, that's how you know if you are in that secure attachment in that moment. So entry points to observation and awareness. Yeah. It's even better when I can request dialogue. Samantha is in the other chat. Sam, if you want to pop in after, feel free to, because it will be nice to have a female perspective on this too. So I would like to talk now about the executive functioning skills and how can we take this information that is theory, that is mental and logical, and really transform it into something that you can embody, into something that you can actually mindfully, consciously use. And if you are not aware of executive functioning skills, guys, I have tracks that you can listen to. I have podcast episodes. I have a course. And it's really important for you to be aware. Again, the same way that you being aware of the different attachment styles can help you start diving deeper. When you are aware of your executive functioning skills and how you use them, you're going to be able to implement this in a way, in a better way. So what are some of the executive functioning skills that you're going to be using here? Emotional self-regulation. That is one. What does that mean? You self-regulating yourself. You not losing your breath, not losing your ground, not losing your presence, and you taking care of yourself. And sometimes that can look like, this is overwhelming for me right now. I just need to take a break. I don't know what to do. I am feeling anxiety and I just need to breathe. So maybe you step out and you request that. Maybe it's like, you know what, can we just pause, stop talking, and then just eye gaze for a minute and breathe together? Or maybe, can I put my hand on your heart? Or whatever you need. Creating a self-care list can be very helpful. Okay? What is something that I can do right now to make myself feel better? So that's emotional self-regulation. And ideally, you do that in the moment when you are feeling agitated and triggered. So many times it's difficult to do it. So many times you know what you should be doing and you're going to choose to go down the pattern. And that's okay. When that happens, at least you are aware that you are doing it. And then when the pattern is run and you are back, then you can look at the pattern again. Okay, why did I go there again? Why couldn't I stop it? And this is this is metacognition. This is the executive functioning skill called metacognition that is going to allow you to observe yourself. Imagine that you are watching a movie of your life, you are the main character, and you are observing from the distance. When you become the observer, something magical happens. You can see the dynamics from the outside. If you mix the metacognition with the emotional self-regulation, now you're going to be self-regulated and you're going to be observing, wow, this is what's happening now. But I'm not getting involved. I am observing what's happening. So being able to reflect, being able to step back and observe, that is metacognition, very powerful skill. That it's mindfulness. It's really building the capacity to be present with what's happening now. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, now. And being able to adjust the way you are showing up, adjust the way you are breathing, adjust the way you are using your body language. And then impulse control. Impulse control is another beautiful executive functioning skill that allows you to stop doing something impulsively. And again, the pause, having a pause is really important, right? That's why a pause allows you to emotionally self-regulate. A pause allows you to don't act impulsively. A pause allows you to have time to become the observer. So it's so powerful to just pause. You don't have to do anything else, just pause. And then impulse control is going to help you avoid doing something that you're going to regret, saying something that you're going to regret, repeating a pattern that you automatically do because that is the autopilot. So being aware enough to avoid that is impulse control. Okay? And then working memory, it's another one. Working memory allows you to remember this information, right? Okay, so this happened. So that means that this feels that is avoidant, or this feels that is anxious. And that's because your working memory is allowing you to remember those things. Hi, Sally, do you want to grab a chair?
I was just going to say hi because I'm getting ready to do yoga.
Okay, she's getting ready to do yoga. So maybe we can do another one another day, and then you can share about what you are learning and what we are doing and just your perspective.
Yeah, but I just resonated with what you were saying because I was listening because this is new learning for all of us. And there was two tracks in particular that were really good from a teacher here on Insight Timer.
Oh yeah, I'll show them.
Yeah, and I found that one when you brought up attachment, and then I was like, okay, we listened to a John Wineland podcast.
That was
in the van.
That was what triggered this for us. Like I was listening to a podcast from John Wineland, and I was listening to it. I was thinking, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, that's us. Oh my God, I need to, this is the sign for me to get into this now. So I sent that podcast to her, and then she listened to it, and then we had conversations, and then I started to read the book.
No, hold on.
And
breathe.
You share the Insight Timer tracks.
We listened to it together while driving the motorhome.
True.
And I took notes.
And we paused so many times to just, what do you think about that? And I saw you doing that before, and you did that.
I don't really remember that.
Yeah. That was me at least.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyways, it was really good, and all I'm saying is it's very new, but I think something that it was very easy for the criticizing part of me, who's really able to look at like, okay, what's the critical lens of this? I expect criticism most of the time, and as a way to protect myself, I go above and beyond to try and blah blah blah. And I felt that there's so many ways in which I feel very secure attachment with you. And that's why I've been able to do a lot of the things that I've done over the years. And then that's what I feel is like an anchor for me also, is the knowing that we're showing up to do the work. So that right there should be this big red flag being like, you're secure. But there's still this part of me that's like, okay, there's all these learned behaviors, there's all these trigger points and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I think it's just like the grace of being human, and also the confidence in, because so many of my female partners have partners who won't show up. Yeah. They won't step into dialogue. They're not interested.
I apologize.
That's your problems.
I apologize for the male, because it's true many times. It's the man who doesn't want to do this. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry about that.
Well, you don't have to be sorry, but
I want to apologize from
I forgive men for not always being the loving men that they could always choose to be. The 5-step. Some of you know the 5-step in here. So I'm going to say, Miigwech, and thank you for having me. Yeah, and I just wanted to step in and say that, but I'm getting ready for yoga.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Sammy. Yeah, so as she was saying, the takeaway from this is, please, as long as you are willing, that is what matters, okay? The work is going to happen. It will take time. You will keep discovering things and dynamics, and we still get caught in sometimes roller coasters of things. It's like, how did we get there again? But at least we are willing to sit in dialogue. We are willing to show up, even though sometimes it's excruciatingly difficult. Sometimes I don't want to do another dialogue. Honestly, it's just, I'm done. Let's just separate. It's easier. But we still sit and we still validate each other's experience. So yeah, that's very important. So yeah, I was talking about the executive functioning skills, and I talk about working memory the last, and then metacognition, emotional self-regulation, impulse control. And then there is another one that I think is worth mentioning here. There are many more others that you can explore in the course if you want. But the other one that I think is so important is cognitive flexibility or adaptive thinking. So there are different names for the same thing, but basically this is your I would say willingness or your capacity to be flexible, to see reality from different perspectives, to be able to accept information that right now maybe you don't understand or is way out of your league, way out of your comfort zone, and your tendency is to kind of block it, but just being aware of, okay, I'm going to be flexible enough to just listen to this, I don't have to agree with it, but at least I'm flexible enough to see reality from different points of view. And when you are sitting in dialogue with your partner, many times they are going to be saying something because that is their experience and you are not going to be agreeing with it because you have a different experience. So the same event caused two very different experiences and they are both valid. And then being able to sit down and shut up and listen and repeat and validate and empathize with her, with your partner. Oh, it makes sense that this happened. It makes sense that you felt this way. It makes sense that when I said this, when I did this, you felt that way. And I can imagine how me doing that and evoking that on you, I can imagine how difficult that must feel for you. Or I can imagine how difficult it must be for you to see me acting this way. So that is cognitive flexibility, mixed with emotional self-regulation, mixed with metacognition, mixed with a lot of stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to share about the practicality of this, because reading this is not enough. You have to do the work. You have to be willing to show up. You have to be willing to use this information and then watch yourself. Life happens moment by moment by moment. And every moment is a new opportunity for you to discover new things. It's a new opportunity for you to show up differently. It's a new opportunity for you to become aware of something else. And having a partner, for those of you who are in relationships, your partner is going to be the person that is going to trigger you the most likely. And these attachment styles, these attachment wounds, however you want to call them, your partner is probably going to push those buttons really well so that you're going to be losing your crap. And then that's your opportunity to practice. Okay? Any tips for accessing these executive functions in the heat of the moment? Get them tattooed on the arms. Yeah, Becca, so I think, how can you access these executive functioning skills in the moment? You can access and perform really well when you can be self-regulated, when you can be present, when you are breathing properly, when you are not feeling attacked, when you don't let what's happening outside really affect you. And if that's happening, then the first thing that you need to do before you take any action is try to self-regulate. And that will mean something different for some of you. For some of you, that will mean I need to be alone for an hour. For some of you, may feel I need closeness to be able to regulate. And then you may not be able to get that from your partner in that moment, but you can request that. You can say, listen, when I'm feeling triggered, if you can just be in front of me and look at me in the eyes and don't say anything, that helps me. Maybe you just hug each other and breathe together. Maybe you can put your hands in each other's heart. Maybe you just respect the silence or respect okay, just go and be alone for a little bit and then we can come get together later. But yeah, self-regulating is the first step. And I would say the pause. If you don't take anything else from this, but just pausing, just do that, just pause. Every time something happens, just pause. Pause, breathe, be present, and then decide what to do. Because that is the best way for you to really access everything that you know, everything that you have, everything that you are aware of. You can access everything when you are self-regulated. If you are fearful or you are constricted or you are on a flight or fight kind of mode, your nervous system you're not going to be able to think clearly. You're not going to be able to be present. You're not going to be able to listen because you are not feeling safe in that moment. And just you being able to say, I am not feeling safe in this moment, maybe that is the work for you in that moment. That is what you need to do. Be vulnerable enough to say, I am not feeling safe right now. I don't know what to say. I am feeling inadequate and I just need to pause. Great. So how to get the partner to become open-minded to these practices? First, I will say, Becca, you do your own work. By you doing your own work, you are going to start showing up differently. And most likely, you are going to start evoking something different in your partner. If you show up, you do the work, and you are always there, and your partner doesn't want to show up, then have a conversation. An honest conversation. Like, I want a partner that is willing to show up, and then try to figure out together what that looks like. Try to create something together that feels good for both of you. And then try to negotiate that in a way that is it's coming from love and respect, not from being pushy or and then it may look different for each of you what that looks like. But that's why I feel that if you can sit and then you are willing to talk about it, and maybe you want to be intimate with your partner emotionally and have conversations and do exercises every day for an hour, and maybe they say, I can do 1 hour a week. Well, start there. And if that is not reasonable for you, then maybe you need to have further conversations. I don't know. Every couple is different. But start with yourself. Start doing the work yourself. Start showing up differently. Start self-regulating. And then hopefully that will change dynamics. Clearly, you will not get involved in the same dynamics when you are aware and you do your own work. And you will not accept specific dynamics that maybe are happening now. So that's already a huge change, because something else will show up. If you stop doing a dynamic, something else is going to happen that is going to, it's like a vacuum, right? When you eliminate something, something else is going to show up there. So maybe that something is better. Samantha says, accept that you cannot change other people. Don't accept anything less than your heart's true desire. Yeah. Sometimes that is very difficult to do, because I don't know, what does that mean? Are you going to leave your partner? What does that mean? So that is very personal, and everybody has to make their own choice, right? I appreciate your perspective, Emilio, that we have tendencies to behave a certain way and not label ourselves to that particular tendency. Yeah, Joaquin, I think awareness is the first step, and then after that, you can change. Guys, physical body, every organ in our body regenerates completely every few months. Joe Dispenza, other authors are doing amazing work on how our energy and the way we think and the way we believe, the impact that has in our physical body. So healing is available for all of us. We just have to be willing and access it. And I don't believe that things are permanent. Everything keeps changing and evolving constantly. So I hope that you guys can have that mindset. So there is one more thing that maybe this is for another one, but there is something that is called protesting behaviors, because it's really important to know this, because these behaviors is it's probably when you start pulling the thread in those moments when you are starting to use your metacognition skill to be present and to try to observe yourself. Majority of the times you are not going to see the wounds straight. You are going to see the surface behaviors that you're going to use, and they call them protesting behaviors. So basically, if you have a core need that you say, I need my partner to reassure me. For example, I need my partner to see what I do. I need my partner to say, wow, I see how hard you are working. I see how clean the kitchen is. I see how you are working at the office. I honor you for taking care of the kids so well. Or I honor you for being willing to show up and do this quiz with me. So imagine that is a core need of yours, but you are not able to express it or ask for it. And then you feel triggered when you don't receive that from your partner. Majority of the times you don't go to your partner and say, listen, I have this attachment style and I have this wound from the childhood, and that represents that when I don't get this, I feel this way. You don't do that most likely, right? You're going to protest. You're going to do something. Maybe your partner gets home, takes off her socks and puts them somewhere that you don't like, and then you lose it. And then everything that you had boiling up from before is just manifested from those socks. And you know that it's not about the socks. You know that that's you protesting because you are not receiving something deeper that you need. So protesting behaviors is something that we have to be aware of, because those are the ones that we are going to start seeing first. Those are the tip of the iceberg, because the wounds, the core needs are at the bottom, but you're not going to get there right away. You're going to do something else first. So let me read what they are so that you understand. And again, you can find this information like if guys, I just went online and said, attach book from Amir Levine. Please give me like some steps for me to follow, the main takeaways from the book, and that's it. So you don't have to write this down. Just make sure that you understand them and just read them as many times as you can. But basically it says excessive attempts to reconnect. So some of the main protesting behaviors that you may find yourself doing. Number one, excessive attempts to reconnect. So basically repeatedly texting, calling, or messaging when a partner is unresponsive. Feeling panicked if the partner doesn't reply right away. So this is you trying to reconnect emotionally, and these are some of the behaviors on the surface that you may find yourself doing. So now when you find yourself panicking, you are hyperventilating and you are texting 1,000 text messages, maybe you can recognize like, oh wow, I am being anxious right now. So what are you going to do? What is the first thing that you can do? Let me see. Let me test you guys. What is the first thing that you can do? If you don't do anything else but this. Pause. Yes. Amazing. Pause. Breathe and then become aware. Oh, wow, I am doing this. Sit with the need of you texting or calling or feeling this, I'm abandoned. He's leaving. She's leaving me. Just sit, and then after, do what you feel you need to do. Okay? And then 2, acting out to get attention, another protesting behavior. So you want attention, you don't get the attention that you need, so you are going to create drama or picking fights to provoke a reaction, because any attention is better than no attention. We all know that. Pretending to be upset about something unrelated just to engage your partner. So basically you are going to protest, you're going to do something to get your partner's attention, positively or negatively, doesn't matter. You just want their attention. Another one, withdrawing or silent treatment. I'm guilty of all of these, by the way. So ignoring texts or avoiding communication to see if the partner will chase them. Becoming distant to test if the partner still cares. 100% I do that a lot. But at least I am aware of sometimes, okay, I'm doing that. And sometimes I keep doing it. So that's the funny aspect, right? I know all these things, and then sometimes it's like, here it is Emilio teaching all this stuff, and then in real life he's going down the same hole again and choosing to do that again, knowing that it's not gonna work. But that is how deep these things are, right? That's why it's so important to be gentle and compassionate and be patient and hopefully feel safe enough to be vulnerable to bring these things to a dialogue with your partner. Like, I discovered that I have done this, and I discovered what I really wanted is this, and I am not receiving it from you. And that's why I acted this way. And again, it doesn't mean you're gonna get it, but at least you are getting clear with yourself. Okay? 5, over-analyzing small cues, right? Reading too much into tone, timing, or phrasing of texts, assuming rejection or abandonment from minor changes in behavior. So this is the exaggeration that I mentioned before. Your partner may do something in one moment, and all of a sudden that something that they did represents that the entire relationship means this. When you find yourself doing that, majority of the times, it's not true. Maybe in that moment something happened, maybe there is something else that you are not aware of, but we are assuming the worst case scenario and then reacting to that worst case scenario, and our nervous system is actually feeling that in reality. So it's not that it's not true, because the nervous system, it is reacting that way. So again, what do we do in those moments? We pause, we self-regulate. Hopefully we remember these things. Okay, I think I am doing yeah, I think I am doing a protesting behavior. What were they? And then you come back to this and then you read them. Oh, yeah, that's the one I'm doing right now. Okay, I know, for next time. And then keep practicing. Okay, and then 6, threatening to leave. Saying things like, maybe we should break up without actually wanting to. Testing the partner to see if they will fight for the relationship. So just saying, I'm gonna leave because you are wanting that reaction. You are testing the partner to see what they do. And that is another protesting behavior for you to get something. And then excessive reassurance seeking. So constant asking, do you love me? Or are we okay? Doubting the partner's feelings despite previous reassurances. So again, you finding yourself that you need so much reassurance on the toxic side, and then even though your partner may give you some, it's never enough. And you are always seeking that, right? So it says, why do people use protesting behaviors? They stem from fear of abandonment and a deep need for reassurance. The anxious partner wants closeness but fears rejection, leading to extreme reactions. These behaviors are learned from inconsistent caregiving in childhood, where love felt unpredictable. And then it goes to how to manage protesting behaviors, and so recognize them as fear-based reactions, communicate needs directly, self-soothe instead of seeking external validation, so self-regulation, self-soothing, and work towards secure attachment by setting healthy boundaries. Okay, so we are just opening the can of worms here, guys, in this session. Okay, it's a lot of information. Some of you may be aware of these things already. Some of you maybe have done a lot of work on attachment already. Some of you, maybe this is all brand new and you are completely overwhelmed. But don't worry, because at least you are here, you have listened to this information, and now be willing, be curious, show up, practice. Okay? So questions. We have 1 or 2 minutes left. But I think I probably will schedule more of these lives and maybe dive into specific ones, because I am doing a lot of work about this, and I'm doing work with my partner. And I think it's really nice to share my real life examples and how they apply to these concepts, because hopefully it helps someone else. I always really like when someone else is sharing their own stories and how they have done it. It really brings a lot of context for me and motivation, I will say. So sure, it's appreciated, and we'll reflect on this. Thank you, Emilio. Thank you so much, Pera. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being interested in this topic. So it's 116 of us here. Just imagine the ripple effect that this is going to have. 116 souls knowing this, starting to do the work, starting to become aware, and then how that is going to spread. Maybe you impact 1 or 2 people. Let's say that each of us will impact 3 people in our lives. So that's already 116 times 3. And then those 3 people, hopefully they will impact 3 more people. Just imagine the chain reaction that we can create by just knowing this and practicing this. So yeah, that alone is already worth for us to do this work. What is your resource for the info on protesting behaviors? Becca, the same thing. I just went to ChatGPT and typed, can you give me the main takeaways from the book attached? And then it's had all of that information. So it's very easy to find. That's why I am saying, like, it's very important to read this, but then the most important piece is to actually practice this. Can we continue to post upcoming live links in your groups, as some lives are just not showing up on profiles, etc.? Yeah, Peta, I can do that. Sorry that I didn't do all of them, but yes, I can do that. Yeah. Amazing, guys. So thank you for being here. And I will see you in the next live session, hopefully. The next one it's about internal family systems, and it ties really well with this. Because it's parts of ourselves, and some parts may react anxiously, some parts may react avoidantly, some parts may be secure. So understanding the internal family systems and how to work with that theory and that structure can be really helpful on top of attachment theory. And also we talk about the circle of consent, the wheel of consent in the last live. All these resources, they merge together really nicely to help you with your healing journey. Okay, so I hope to see you then.